Welcome back in my class of Political Science Part 2, Chapter 4, Role of the State Government. So till now what we have learned? We have learned what is federalism system of government, what is PHC, what are public health centers, and now we are going to read what are private health services or private healthcare system. So private healthcare is a medical facility which is provided to the people by those people or by those institutions which are other than the government institutions. Now, India's private health centers or services are very costly. Their healthcare costs are among the lowest in the world. Though they are very costly for the people of India, but they are India's private health care costs are among the lowest in the world, and still the people do not get the access or the benefits of these private health services. And according to the World Bank data, 99% of India's population cannot afford private health services, and the Indian healthcare draws over 1 million of patients abroad from each year. Millions of patients from abroad, they come to these private health services and they take the treatment. But however, in our country, every year many of our own citizens, they just push into poverty because of payments which are made for the healthcare system. So for the people of we can say that the treatment is quite expensive of this private healthcare system, and despite of some laws made by the government, the facilities, services and the medicines available in the private health care institutions are very expensive and also with the long bills. That is why they are out of the reach of the common people. Okay, and so we can say that these private health services, many doctors are running their own clinics, and there are also many privately run hospitals and nursing homes are there in city, we can see, as we can see here. So these private hospital services are very good, but they are found mostly in cities only. They are not found in rural areas. This is one of the drawback, and they are run to earn profits, to earn money. Okay, so these institutions are based on the profit motive, and such services are mostly found only in the urban areas, which are very expensive, and because they are having the latest equipments and the advanced technology, and they provide all kinds of facilities and medical tests and diagnosis to the patient. And many doctors have set up their own private clinics in cities, and they offer better infrastructure than public healthcare clinics. And we can also see the private medical shops are there which sell medicines. Big pharmaceutical companies have entered in the marketing medicines. So the private sector makes up for 80% of healthcare services in a state. As we can see here, the facilities, the modern infrastructure is there. All type of facilities are available in the private health services. So they just try to provide the sophisticated health services to the people by the private doctors. So they are very expensive. Okay, so that is why they are not accessible, reachable to the poor people, to the underprivileged section. As we can see here, proper infrastructure is there, and the better medical attention is given to the patient. Cleaner environment is available for the patients. The doctors are better qualified, and they are willing to spend more time with the patients. And even the poor people also prefer to go to private clinics nowadays and hospitals in the hope of better and faster recovery. So we can see separate cabins are there. So large number of private hospitals we have in every state. So this way we have done the comparative study between the private health center and the public health center. Now who are medical tourists? So medical tourism is a growing sector in India. And medical tourists are those people, those who come from either we can say very rich countries or very well developed countries, or to in our country, because here they find the treatment very easily affordable, and here they can stay easily for 30 days and they get better treatment also. They do not have to wait for the doctors for a long appointment. They get the prompt and quick and reasonable treatment. Similarly, the people from poor countries like Africa, Bangladesh, economically backward countries also come to India so that they can again get the prompt, timely treatment, at the same time reasonable treatment. So medical tourism is a very growing sector in India, and medical treatments are becoming very expensive nowadays worldwide. So that is why lakhs of tourists travel to India for low price health care services. So these are the reasons for which medical tourism facility has been very successful in India and increasing year by year. And because of latest medical technology, high standard of treatment and the low cost attract medical tourists in India. The cost of treatment in India is around 1/10 as compared to the cost of treatment in most countries. So it is easily affordable, easily available. They get the accommodation facility also. And the Indian government has even removed the tourist visa restrictions to encourage medical tourism. And they can stay in India for 30 days for medical reasons. Hospitals have been hired, translators to help people from Balkan, Africa and Gulf countries. So that is why medical tourism is a growing sector in India. Okay, now still we have seen that though different type of health services are prevailing in India, and India is having a large number of doctors and health centers, and many people they visit India also as medical tourists. Okay, but in India still the problem is there. Many Indians still do not get the clean water to drink, enough water, enough to eat. So there's a lot of that government has to work in the field of public health. So now we are going to see the two examples. The two examples we are going to see where the government of a particular place have done a lot. So this you can see in the map the place and Costa Rica. So Costa Rica is a place in Central America, that is between North America and South America, Costa Rica. So Costa Rica is considered the most healthiest country in South America. And while writing their constitution, they decided that they will not have the army in their country. So since 1948, there is no army in the country of Costa Rica. And as a result, the amount of money they used to spend on the defense of the army, to maintain the army, to give the salaries to soldiers, now they are using the same amount of money, the large amount of money, for the health and education of their people, and improving and providing the basic needs to the people. Okay. So this way we can see that Costa Rica government is providing the basic facilities, the basic amenities like food, water, education, sanitation and housing to all the citizens. So health education is an essential part of education at all the three levels. So Costa Rica is a very happy and healthiest country in terms of health. And similarly in Kerala also. Kerala example is also given in our book, students. So during the early 1980s, the people of Kerala, so during the early 90s, the people of Kerala, they face several health problems, okay, like many infectious diseases, diabetes, hypertension, heart diseases, mental health going down, number of suicides were increased. So this way, these were the problems of Kerala in the year 1980. Then the Kerala People's Campaign planning was launched in August 1946, and according to which Kerala government they gave 35 to 40% of the budget to the local government to plan and to implement and apply health projects as per the needs of the local people. So this way the local government they have made the plannings, and they provided the better sanitation facilities, safe drinking water to the people. Then they also set up primary, secondary healthcare institution, properly equipped, and they were looked after by the local governments. So this way many projects were made in Kerala. for the people, those who are suffering from autism, differently abled people, aged people, senior citizens, the people with the cognitive disorder, kidney patients, lung cancer patients. So this way, so many projects were made for by the village panchayat and local government. So this way we can see that local government are responding to the specific locality basic needs of the Kerala people. Now we are going to see what are the some other than the health services, public health services, what are the some other subjects that state government deals with. So the first one is land form. So land form include the measures, the steps and the efforts such as redistribution of the land among the people, then bringing the wasteland under cultivation, which is known as reclamation. So whichever lands are wasted, they are converting into agricultural lands, and construction of some of the minings, industries, then roads, okay, then settling the people and settling those people wherever they can be suited according to the environment. So this way the government of India has passed many laws for the land reforms. So the number one is land reform other than the public health services, then land reform, then to provide irrigational facilities and the water. So to improve the irrigational facilities, for this the state government is also constructing dams, canals, wells to provide the irrigation to the farmers, okay, and this work is also carried out by the local self-government. This way the state government is always encouraging the farmers to form associations for building and maintaining small irrigation works. Okay, especially in the arid states, the states like Rajasthan, where there is always short of rainfall. And then, yes, here we can see water. Water is another facility, basic facility, which is duty of the state government to supply water for the use in homes, industries, for the purpose of sanitation. So, Department of the State is Public Health Engineering Department, as you can see PHE. So this is Public Health Engineering Department of the state government, performs the function to provide the water, and they also build system for supplying clean water and draining away the dirty water. Okay, here we can see. So these systems are maintained by the local self-government bodies. And now we are going to cover up the last portion, that is education. So Government of India is also working a lot to give the education, to provide the education to the all sections of the society. So in the year 1976, education was made a subject in the concurrent list also. And according to the 82nd Amendment of the Constitution, a program was launched by the Government of India so that the central government it tries to maintain a uniform standard of education throughout the country. So wherever you will go, you will find the same uniform standard of education throughout the country, so the child will not face any problem in coping up with the syllabus. So this way the central government plays a very important role in determining the educational needs of the country. So as a result of it, primary education is given a lot of importance. And already it is a fundamental right of our constitution that all children aged between 6 to 14 years will have the right to get free primary education. That is right to education. So right to education is a fundamental right given in our constitution also. According to which government has launched the central government has launched many programs also. And the central government and the state government, they are running government schools to provide education to children. And in the partnership of state government, the central government has launched a program which is known as Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan scheme. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan scheme is a flagship program which is launched by the central government in the partnership of the state government, according to which their main motive is universalization of elementary education. That is, everybody in our country, everybody being a girl, okay, the child belongs to weaker section of society, the child belonging to remote areas, working children, working class, and those who have left the school dropouts, everybody will have the access to education. And this way our government is also providing training to the teachers also. According to this program, the training centers are being run to train the government teachers. Here you can see the Constitution of India has made a fundamental right, RTE, and this is RTE Act, was passed in the year 2009. So this is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, SSA, which gives a message that education is meant for everyone, and according to it, the infrastructure is also improved. Midday meal scheme has been launched, and teachers are given the training also. And nowadays, if we talk about today's scenario, the digital education is also part of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. This way, additional classrooms have been added along with the washrooms, clean surroundings. So these are all the parts of the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. To construct the school buildings, classrooms, appointment of the teachers, training of the teachers, digital education. As we can see, education brings a smile on the face of the children. Digital education in Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, we can see here. As we can see, these are the major components of this policy. Okay. And then we can see these are the aims and objectives of SSA, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. It also aims at the universal access and equality of this policy. So I hope students you have understood the concept of the chapter. Thank you so much.